Thanks for sticking around. Sometimes the place empties out after the pizza, so there was a little bit of emptying, but I'm glad you guys stick around for the last couple talks. I'll be here for about 15 minutes. I'm going to talk to you about trends, tips, and terrifying tales in couloirs. Does everybody know what a couloir is, first of all? Basically, it's a straight shot. If you look at a cliff and there's one white gully down the middle, you see people ski, that's called a couloir. A gully, that kind of stuff. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about skiing in those, riding down couloirs, because it's become a real thing to do around here, and lots of people are doing it. So this talk is a little bit about couloir riding and a few things to learn about it. I want to tell you some stories from some of the rescues that we went to last winter. But I thought I would start by taking you back to, I guess it would be March 2018, so that's a year and a half ago, on a Sunday afternoon at work. And there was 3 of us working in Banff that day. I work in the search and rescue group, and we got a call early in the afternoon, and we got a call from one of these satellite devices. And when we get those calls, we understand there's an emergency somewhere, and we are given a coordinate. But we don't know what the emergency is. We just know we have to go there. So the first thing we do is we pull up the coordinate, we put it into Google Earth, we look at the spot, and we figure out what it is. And in this case, it put us down at Kootenay Park, which is about 50 kilometers south of here. And by looking at it, we could see it was right in the middle of an avalanche path, and we thought, well, we're going to there's probably an avalanche that we're responding to. We're not sure, but probably. So we paged our helicopter, which takes about 20 minutes to get to our location in Banff. We got all our equipment ready. The 3 of us are in the helicopter sitting there. The helicopter showed up. We all got in. We're just getting ready to leave, and we got a second call from dispatch. This time it was someone who was calling from right there. And his partner had fallen down that couloir and was unconscious and unresponsive with a really serious head injury. And this guy was on the phone, and he was about a 10-minute flight away from where we were. So this one, now we have 2 calls underway. So now it's kind of really game on for us. We have to make some really fast decisions how we're going to do this. We go through kind of a triage right away. First of all, this one, the other one we think we know what's going on. This one we absolutely know what's going on because we're on the phone, and it's definitely serious and life-threatening. So we're going to go there first. So we have to get a second helicopter involved. We have to call our partners who work at Kananaskis Country. That's the provincial park beside us. We get them to respond because there's only 3 of us, not enough staff. So one of our guys hops out of the helicopter and takes off with the other group for the original call, and I head out with myself, my partner, and our pilot. And then eventually we fly into the scene, and this picture is from the day. That's actually what it looked like, and that's where the person was. So we fly in there, we can see this person, and I can immediately tell there's someone in a heap on the slope, and there's another guy standing there waving his arms, and you can tell this is the spot. But we got to get in there. And how are we going to get in there? It's that kind of day that you can just feel the pressure mounting. It was super stressful. In the helicopter, so we're doing 2 or 3 laps around, trying to figure out how we're going to do this. Really difficult and challenging flying for the pilot. Really difficult. Trying to put the helicopter in a place like that. They don't have any instruments for that. It's really just how they feel about it. So it's extremely dangerous to try and land a helicopter in the middle of a white cloud, essentially. So we circle around. We've got paramedics coming from Banff. We have stars en route from Calgary because we know it's serious. All the cavalry is basically converging on us. We look at 3 options. We're either going to be able to land there right beside them, which probably isn't going to happen, but that's option 1. Option 2 is that we're going to put the sling on the bottom of the helicopter, which is about a 100-foot rope, and the pilot is going to insert us onto the site, hanging from the sling. And the third option is that we're going to have to get out down the trees down here and walk up and carry the equipment, which is not ideal because this is life-threatening, so we're in a hurry. So ultimately, we decide to go with the sling option. So we fly back down to the meadow, and we're like, we've got to hook the stuff onto the bottom of the helicopter. We have lots of double and triple checking that we go through. We use checklists. We put the hook on the bottom of the helicopter. We get the lines clipped on. We make our operational plan with the pilot. We review these 2 or 3 times. We check in with dispatch. By this point, we have paramedics ready to receive the patient below us. And then, really, once we're set to go, it's time to go in there. Our plan was that I would go in first with medical gear, try and stabilize the patient. My partner would come in right behind me on the second lift with the equipment to ferry the patient out, and then we would just get him out there as fast as we could. So we flew in there and went into the scene. I went in there first, just like we said. I got out and immediately I could tell this was super serious. The guy was unresponsive, but he was breathing. So we just started to work on it right away. The person who was on the scene was helping me, and unfortunately they dropped our medical bag, it slid, gone, lost the bag. But that stuff happens a lot when you're trying to work in the mountains. You just gotta roll with it. So I worked on this guy. My partner flew in, and we just basically said, this person's so hurt, we gotta get him out of here. We didn't really do anything to him except packed him up in our bag, clipped him into the sling, and flew him down to the paramedics. Right out of that site, had him on the line within a couple minutes, and flew him down there and transferred him to the paramedics down in the parking lot. That's at the Taylor Lake parking lot. Shortly after that, he was transferred to Stars and flown to Calgary. Just wanted to tell you about that story because it's in a couloir, and that's the theme of what I'm talking about tonight. So since that time, that was, I guess that was 2 winters ago now. Last winter, the trend continued, and couloirs have always been popular places. Climbers use them to access high mountains, so it's a logical place. If you're a climber, you'll get in this couloir, you'll climb up through a snow gully, which gets you through all the cliff bands, and then you can access the higher part of the mountain. They're also popular for skiing and have been for a long time. Another logical spot, they're usually pretty steep and really exciting. You ski down a run with big rock walls on either side of you, so it can be pretty exciting. And in the last few years, couloir skiing has really taken off around here, just in this particular part of the world in the Rockies. The problem with couloirs is you don't want to end up at the bottom in a heap, which happens to people, and it's happening to people a lot. Early season, I think it was like either late November or early December, there was a group of people up in somewhere in here and they got hit by an avalanche, and there's not a lot of room to get out of the way. And the one guy got flushed right out to the bottom there. Didn't sustain life-threatening injuries, but nonetheless, I think he spent the winter not skiing and we had to rescue him out of there. Also last winter, we responded to the Aimer Couloir. And this one's on Mount Temple, and it's a real trophy for people to come to and ski. And people used to use it to climb, to access the mountain, but these days it's pretty much a prize for skiing. And of course, we got a call there last winter where somebody came on first turn, fell, and it's not the first time. There's videos. I think you can actually find a video online of somebody else falling top to bottom down this thing. We had a guy last year who fell down here, and ironically, right here, he went that way. And there's a huge cliff just out of the picture down here, like a 500-foot cliff down there. And somehow he lawn darted into the snow and stopped. And so he was also quite injured. I think he broke his shoulder, internal injuries, but again, got him to the hospital, and I'm pretty sure he walked away from that. This is the Nareo Couloir, and we had a group there last year who were skiing, I believe it was the right-hand one here, and they were descending from the top of the couloir. They'd already climbed up it. So typically, I should just stop here. There's kind of a couple ways to ski couloirs. A good way to do it, and probably the most common way, is to come up to the bottom. You likely wear your skis, and then at the bottom, you're going to make some decisions with your partner. Put your skis or your snowboard on your pack, and then climb up. You're just going to kick steps up the couloir, and that's how, so far the ones I've shown you, that's how it's been done. Another way to do it is you can go around the back, like the story of the guys at Rogers Pass who had the accident in the Grizzly Couloir. You'll notice they didn't actually climb up the couloir, they went around the back of the mountain and over the top. Both are reasonable approaches. The advantage of hiking up the couloir is you get to check the snow on the way up. So you get to feel it, you get to see what it's going to be like, you can look around and imagine what it's going to be like to ski or ride back down that couloir, which is really helpful. It's quite different coming over the top, looking at the snow, having to make a decision right there, and then you're not really familiar with what it's going to be like. So these guys, they climbed up there and got to the top, and then they were descending back down again. They were just about here. And there's a little, what happens there is there's a real pinch, kind of a chimney thing in the rock. And there's a big plug of rock there. We call them a chalkstone, but you can imagine a huge boulder just stuck in a gully with you can climb underneath it to get through. And anyway, these guys were coming back down there, and they were just, on the way down, they were just near the top of that rock when the whole slope above them released an avalanche and struck them. Now this one I like to talk about because I personally responded to this 4 times. We go every year to the Granddaddy. This used to be the kind of place where, it would get skied occasionally. Somebody would go ski the Granddaddy Couloir, and now, as I'm going to show you some pictures here, it's skied all the time. It got skied the other day. Beautiful rock tower right at the bottom of it here, so it's a really aesthetic mountain feature. this long couloir here. It's very gnarly up there. There's cornices and there's a bunch of stuff hanging up there that falls down there. So it's definitely a dangerous place. But it's kind of lost its reputation for being a dangerous place because so many people go there. And people post about it. That's another part of all of this. And let's back up a little bit. So that ski is right there. And it's just stuck in the snow. Another time I went there, I think it was last year, there was a pair of skis right at the top. And that person had climbed up to the top, taken their skis off to get ready, or put their skis down and was getting ready to put their skis on to ski down, and they fell. And they went all the way to the bottom, and they left their skis at the top. This one I showed you about, this person fell with their skis while they were skiing, and the skis, of course, blew off, and one of the skis was located in the middle. What happens to people when they fall down couloirs is only if they're really lucky do they get spat out the bottom without hitting the rock walls. Because what happens is when you start to fall, you pick up speed really fast, and you start to accelerate, and you start to cartwheel, and you bounce off the walls. And the guy that we got, that I told you the story about in the first place, who had the really serious head injury, he had a helmet on his pack, but had concluded that wearing it while walking up wasn't necessary. He needed it for the descent down, but it happened while he was hiking up. His partner triggered a small avalanche. This is what we think happened. Just as they were topping out on the couloir, the partner triggered a small avalanche, which struck the guy, which gathered speed, hit the guy below him, and knocked him off his feet, and he didn't have a helmet on. And he bounced off the sidewalls a few times. So if you're in these things, wear your helmet the whole time, not just down. Like, put your helmet on and go in. Don't go into these things without a helmet. So timing is really everything. And that's, I guess, the other thing I want to point out about this thing. Because falling down an icy couloir is like not what you want to be doing. And it seems so obvious when you look at it from the outside. So just try and remind yourself while you're in there, if the conditions are not optimum, just come back another day. It's really, really important. Timing is very important for those. So I just want to talk about a few things about couloir skiing. And I got a couple of notes I'm just going to use here. Couloir skiing is kind of two different things. It's not just skiing and snowboarding, it's also climbing. And my background, my personal background is originally as an alpine climber, sort of before I became a skier, I guess. So I approach a lot of things thinking about climbing, because that's sort of how I started in all this. And climbers, when I approach a place like this as a climber, I'm bringing crampons for my feet, spikes on my feet, I've got a helmet, I'm wearing an ice axe, I might bring a rope, the whole set of things that I do when I climb up a mountain. And if you're going to go climb up couloirs, you need to be prepared to do that too. You need to act like a climber on the way up, and then you need to act like a skier or a snowboarder on the way down. You got to be able to do both. And I think if you're not comfortable on your feet, you should think about it twice before going up there. A couple things about climbing up those couloirs. This is a place where you want to, I think, stay close together. So if Mark and I are going to climb up this couloir, I'm not going to let him get halfway up before I start. We're going to stay close together. And the reason for that is if Mark knocks something off, or if we start a little avalanche, we can be together. I can stop it before it gets too much speed. The story I told you about in the beginning, those guys got separated, and that's why when the one guy talked to a small avalanche, by the time it hit the guy below him, the avalanche was moving quite quickly by that point. You also have to watch out, this one's not too bad, but a lot of times cornices form. Does anybody not know what a cornice is? Or does everybody know what a cornice is? It's a big overhanging piece of snow. So the wind blows and it takes the snow and blows it over a ridge, and there's been lots of pictures of cornices flying by here tonight. It basically makes a big overhang that juts out. And those fall off a lot. Like, they all fall off in the spring. And if it's really snowy and windy, they get bigger and they fall off. You could potentially walk out on one of them from behind, because when you're behind a cornice, you're just walking around and it just looks like something you can walk out for the view. We have responded to many accidents where someone has walked out to have a view over the edge and fallen through the cornice. So you got to kind of think about it from both perspectives. When you're a skier and you're on your way down, I do think it's important to spread then. So if Mark and I we climbed up as a group, and now we're going to ski down together, probably going to make a plan together, and it might sound something like this. Okay, Mark's going to go first. We might even have radios to talk to each other. Grad's going to go about halfway down, and we're going to cut out and wait for you under that overhang. Getting to the couloir is always a challenge. Like this stuff here. This is Lisa and I went up to take a look at some couloirs last year, and we ended up retreating off of this slope right here. These are the kinds of slopes that can be worse than the couloir for avalanches. The couloir is steep, and there's always got stuff falling down it, but these big open slopes at the bottom are more kind of a classic big slab avalanche slope. So you really have to watch it. We call those the fan. The fans are kind of the bottom part of a couloir or a slope. So watch out for avalanches on the fans below. And an example of that is here. This is from last year. Some people were hoping to ski this couloir here, and as they climbed up the slope, they didn't even get to the couloir because they triggered this avalanche here, which came out on the fan below. This is a rescue picture. You can see a group of people right there, and they dug a big platform right there where we were able to come in and get their friend out. Couple things for a rescue: if it's an avalanche, dig your partner out first. Call us, but go for your partner first. When you get buried in an avalanche, you've got 10, 12, maybe 15 minutes to live with the asphyxiation. If you call us, we're a solid hour till we get there, because we got to get the helicopter and all this stuff. Avalanche, living through an avalanche is entirely about everyone in the group doing it for you. So do your own self-rescue. If you get an opportunity to press the button on your satellite or call on your cell phone, you can call 911 or our direct number. That gets us moving. And then we'll give you instructions, and then that's, in this case, what really is helpful for us in this case, these guys dug out a great big platform for us there, which is great, because we do all these assessments from the air, but ultimately we have to get off the line and we land there, and it's nice. If we get in there, these guys did a great job because they're safe. That's a safe spot. And it's safe because it's protected from anything that falls down the couloir here or here, because they're underneath that cliff. They're right up against it. So you feel good there. And they also dug us a big platform, so when we see something like that, we're pretty happy to put ourselves into that situation to help somebody. So that's basically it. You know, I know a lot of you guys, it's your first time, and I sort of laugh sometimes. I'm coming up here to show you all these pictures. You're hearing all these horrific stories tonight about things that have happened to people, and there's a lot of them. So that's just the way it is, unfortunately. But there's a lot of great stuff to be had. Living around here, I lived around here for 30 some odd years, and I love skiing around here. There's so much great stuff to do. There's lots of, the snowpack is tricky, as Ken said, or Tim, someone mentioned how difficult the snowpack is here. So the secret to that is to just find mellow terrain. Just, if you don't know what you're doing or you're not comfortable, go somewhere mellow. And another good thing is go to the same place a few times. People often seem to think, oh, where should I go today? And I often recommend, you know what, find a good spot that you're comfortable with, that's not that risky, and learn it. And go back there. Like, go again and again and again. And when it snows 40 centimeters and you're not sure if you should be in the avalanche terrain or not, and you're trying to make some big decision, just go somewhere simple that you know, where you don't have to get into trouble. And save those big, tricky decisions for another day, or for when you have more experience or something like that. So thanks very much. Any questions in just a minute, but I hope you guys have a great winter.